We're going to go straight to page 49 in grammar.
I'm
Page
gonna be right
49.
back. My gardeners are probably here, and I
Okay.
don't want my dogs to go off.
Oh, okay. That's fine. Page 49. We are going to talk about verbs. You guys know about verbs. Um, and we're going to talk about how to label them in this book this week. Okay. So verbs show action basically, and they do a couple other things too. Sometimes they link words together and sometimes they help other verbs, but we're going to learn about linking and helping another time. Today we're focusing on action. That's the easiest one when a verb shows action. So this week you will learn action verbs, and an action verb shows action or ownership. To determine if a word is a verb, use the verb test. Now, if you look on the margin over here, see where it says verb test, and then it says I blank and it blank. It's just a little test. If that helps you, you can use it. But basically, when you're looking at all the words in your sentence in your book, plug it in the test and see if it works. Yes, Declan.
Um, so basically for the I blank period, it would be I ran.
Yes, that would be a verb. But what if the word was like house? I house. That doesn't really work. So house is not a verb. We know that's a noun because it's a thing, right? So that's just a little test. I blank, it blank, if you need it, if it helps you with figuring out a word in a sentence. Every verb has a subject. The subject and the verb, SV, belong together. So that means it's telling who's doing the thing, right? So they go together. And the subject is the noun or pronoun that performs the verb action. It tells who or what the clause is about. To find a subject, ask who or what is doing the verb. So you find the verb first, and then you ask yourself, who is doing that or what is doing that? And then this says only nouns and pronouns can function as subjects. When the subject is a pronoun, it will be one of the subjective case pronouns. It'll be one of these: I, you, he, she, it, we, they, who, or which. That's the only one that's really different right here is who or which. So, and we know that from the who which clause, right? We're going to talk about that more too. But inside a who which clause, a lot of times it's the word who or which that's actually the subject. All right, so you're going to read the sentence and look for a word that shows action. Mark that with a V for verb. And then you ask who or what is doing that verb. And then you mark the subject with an S. So it's going to look like this. The soldiers met at the castle. I know the word met is a verb. See how they have a V there for verb? And then if you ask yourself, like, who met at the castle? Oh, the soldiers. Soldiers is the subject. So see how we do S and V. That's how you're going to mark these now in this book, okay? And then there's the who which clause, which we know a little bit about. You're starting to use that in your stories now. The who which clause also contains its own subject and verb pair. The subject of most who which clauses is the word who or which. I know it sounds weird, but that is most of the time the subject is who or which. But sometimes the subject is another word in the clause. So you're going to read the who which clause and look for a word that shows action and then ask who or what. That's how we're going to do it again here. Jump down to the bottom. The king had one daughter who wanted many things. I know the verb is wanted inside the clause here. And if you ask yourself who wanted, well, there's no name inside the clause. Yeah, the daughter is back here. But remember, the clause has its own subject verb pair. So it's going to be who because it's referring back to the daughter. See that? That's who they're talking about is the daughter because it's right here. So who is the subject and wanted is the verb. And then look at the next example. Her bag looked like the bag which the soldier owned. I know the verb is owned. It has ed. I know that's a verb. And then if I ask who owned, It's the soldier that owned it. So this time it's not the word which, it's going to be soldier. So sometimes it's who, which, and sometimes it's another word inside the clause. Okay, do you guys have any questions about that page? Subject, verb? Yes, Declan.
Um, and sometimes it can be like the like who, like the name of the person, the
Yes,
name of the who.
that's right. Sometimes it can be. That's right. So you got to watch out for that. Sometimes it's who, sometimes it's which, and sometimes it's the name of the person, like you're saying. All right, let's go to 50, page 50. There's a little bit more back here. So this is interesting about English. I know other languages don't have this rule, but this is true about English. Sometimes we have words that change their function. That's why it's hard to remember sometimes. It says many words can be used as different parts of speech. Now, part of speech is like noun, verb, adjective, adverb, all those different parts that we have. Sometimes they
Which
can be used
clause?
differently. However, a word can perform only one part of speech at a time. So in a sentence, it's only doing one job. Okay. For example, the word light, Light. Did you know that that word light can be used as a noun or sometimes even an adjective or a verb? It depends on how it's used, where it is in the sentence. So here's the example as a noun. The light hurt my eyes. That makes sense because we have an article, the. That tells me a noun is coming, right? The light. So I don't know if it's ever happened to you, but if you're in bed and it's dark in the morning and your mom, you got to go somewhere really early and your mom or your dad turns on the light and it's like, oh, ow, it hurts, right? Because you're in the dark and all of a sudden the light is so bright.
Your eyes have to get used to it first.
It takes a minute. So the light hurt my eyes. Or if your brother or sister shines a flashlight in your face, they think they're so funny. It's like, really? You're going to shine that in my eyes? Really? You know, I grew up with two big brothers, so they did stuff to me like that all the time. Okay, adjective. Here it is as an adjective. The light rain was falling. So this time it's telling about the rain. The rain is the noun. The light rain is telling what kind of rain it is. It's a gentle rain, like a sprinkle. And then look at here, it's used as a verb. The lamps light the room. It's telling what the lamps are doing. They're lighting up the room. So same word light, Light, it can be a noun, it can be an adjective, or it can be a verb, but only one thing at a time. And you have to look at the words around it to figure out
Say that again.
how is it functioning.
My computer like glitched.
Oh, okay. This one, the lamps light the room, that's a verb telling what the lamps are doing. Yeah. Okay. So let's flip over to 51. And how about Trevor? How about you read the sentence today?
Could I actually read it because I actually haven't gotten like a turn to read yet. Like
Oh,
in this
well,
whole.
okay, maybe not because I already picked Trevor, but I'll pick you soon, okay? Sorry about that, Declan. I try to change it up, but I will pick you soon. Go ahead, Trevor.
After a few minutes, she asked him about his unusual bag.
Nice. Okay, unusual. What is unusual? What does that mean? Something that's unusual. Allison?
Like not normal or like strange.
Very good. I like how you said that. Not normal or
Uncommon.
strange. Yeah, uncommon. And then Sydney, what about, well, let's find the article. We know that one. That's easy. And then Sydney, what about the nouns? Where are the nouns at?
Um, Bag.
Good.
Um,
That word a is going to tell us that one's coming. It may not be the next word, but
Minutes.
yeah, minutes. Yep, you got it. Good. All right. And then there's two pronouns, Weston. Where are the pronouns?
She and him.
Good. She and him. I'm glad you didn't say his, because that's functioning as something else. Sometimes it is a pronoun, but it's going to function as something else. So, how about Joanna? Where are the adjectives that describe some of these nouns? So, look at like minutes,
About
not about. Look at minutes, like how many minutes is it saying?
few.
There you go. So, few becomes an adjective. And then how about bag? What's describing the bag?
Unusual.
Yes. And whose bag is it? There's another word that tells whose. That's what an adjective does too.
His bag.
There you go. You got it. That's why this is an adjective, not a pronoun, because it's telling whose bag it is. Those are the three. Good job. Now, we have something new on the list, which is the subject verb pair. But I'm going to tell you it's going to be easier to wait on the prepositional phrases till the end. If you get stuck on those, if those are hard for you, wait till the end, like skip it and come back to it. So, how about Declan? What are the verbs in this sentence? There's just one, actually. What is the one verb we have?
Asked.
Good. And then what's the subject that goes with that? Who's asking him?
She.
Good. So she is the subject. Nice job. That's how you're going to mark these. Now, the only time you have two labels is when there's a subject, because it's doing basically two things. It's a pronoun, but it's also the subject. So that's the only time you're going to have two, just so you know. Now,
About the vocabulary and for this the adjective. Wouldn't that count as a stack?
well, we're not labeling it that way though, but true. I guess
Oh,
technically that is
yeah.
true, but we're not labeling the vocabulary words. But we are labeling the pronoun and the subject. So that's when you have two.
Okay.
Yeah, good question. Trevor, what about the prepositional phrases? So look at the words that don't have a label yet and see if you can figure out what the phrase is. Looking for words that don't have anything on top of it yet.
After.
Good. So if I ask you after what should we underline? After.
A few minutes.
Yes, good. You got it. It always stops on a noun or a pronoun. So after a few minutes is the whole phrase. Very good. And then what's the other one?
About his unusual bag.
You got it. That's perfect. About his unusual bag. See how we stopped on the noun bag? That's where it stops. So it's a group of words when we underline it. Starts with a preposition. It starts with a word that doesn't have a label on it, but then it has to go to the noun or pronoun. Okay, good. Capital, that's pretty easy. And then end mark is just a period. Good. Awesome, you guys. That wasn't so bad. So if you ever get stuck on prepositional phrases, skip it. Save it till the end of your list. Okay? That's a good tip for you guys. All right, go ahead and let's put that away. And you guys wrote about King Midas last week. I know people really love to share your stories. I wish I had time for everybody to share, but today we're going to probably stick to one person to share. So, does anybody want to share your King Midas story today? I see Declan. All right, Declan, it looks like you're the one. Oh, I didn't see you, Joanna, in the distance there. I'm going to have Declan do it this time, okay? And then next time, hopefully, we'll have time for two people to read it. Okay. So, do you have it in front of you, Declan? while he's looking for it, I can pull it up for you if you need me to, but make sure you guys, if you could check your papers and make sure you used ly adverb and a who which clause. Because each paragraph should have one. I see that, Weston. He's like, yep, I did that. So if you have an ly in each paragraph,
Actually was like editing it today, so I don't have all of my stuff.
oh, you're not finished with it yet?
Yeah.
Okay. So how about we save it for next week then? So I want you to have it finished in order to share it,
Well,
okay?
I can still share it. It's not like I can't like share it still.
Okay, you know what, Declan? Today I'll let you share it unfinished, but from today on, I don't want you to share it unless it's finished, okay? Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, okay, cool. So go ahead and share it today, and then next time make sure it's all the way done before class. Okay, do you have it?
Yep.
Okay,
It's
so tell
called
us the
Never
title.
Be Greedy.
Never be greedy. Okay, good.
This is the story of a greedy king named Midas who had gold everything, decorations, jewelry, and even a crown. Every time he got gold, he wanted more gold, but he was still unhappy. He just wanted more gold. Meanwhile, a strange visitor named Axel came. Axel said, I will grant you one wish. Midas said, I want everything I touch turns to gold. He turns a he turned a list of things into gold. A table, a chair, a rug, and even his bed. The flowers had no smell, and the food he couldn't eat. Soon his daughter came to give him a hug, but she turned to gold too. No! Midas yelled. The king deeply regretted his wish. Axel returned. He said, Wash your hands in the river, and the golden touch will be gone. Midas rushed to the river and picked up a rock, and it was normal. King Midas was now a generous and kind king, loved by all of his people. King
Nice.
Midas
Oh,
learned to never be greedy.
very good. You had one more sentence. Good. Let's give him a clap in the camera. You guys know what to do. Woohoo! Very good. I love it, Declan. Nice job. It's got some great ly adverbs in there. Are you working on adding the who, which clauses in there and everything?
Well, I have one,
Yeah.
but I'm still working on the other.
Okay, yeah, so you got to make sure each paragraph has one. And remember, you guys, I see all the hands. That's good. You guys keep giving the claps and everything. Um, I wanted to say that each paragraph needs to have one. So make sure you go back and fix that. But I love what you have so far. It's sounding really, really good. And you guys need to make sure to use your checklist when you're writing your paragraphs. One thing I wanted to share with you, I want to ask Trevor, because I just looked at your paper and I know you hand wrote it. You don't have to read it, but do you mind if I show it so that people can see how to make a paragraph when they handwrite it? Is that okay with you? Okay, cool. So let me show you Trevor's paper. And some of you are typing, which is great, and some of you are still handwriting, and that's okay. So here's what I wanted to show you because do you see how he has it indented right here? And then he starts his paragraph here and then goes to almost the end, but not all the way to the end. And then he goes back to this red line here and he goes almost to the end, but then he comes back to this red line. And you see how everything's lined up on the side here. And then down here, the next paragraph, it's indented. I want to see that. If you guys are handwriting your papers, this is how I want it. So good job, Trevor, with that. If you're typing it, you can hit tab on your keyboard and it'll automatically indent it for you. And you
Yeah.
keep going when you're typing. Yep. So I want to make sure to show you it should be in paragraphs. Okay. Sydney, I see your hand there.
Sorry about my dogs, but was mine okay? And my mom was wondering, and she uses the list every single time I get the homework.
Oh, good. You know what? Did you turn it in this morning?
She turned it in yesterday. She should.
Guys, did I grade yours yet? Let me check really quick.
I'm gonna mute myself because my dogs are going crazy.
Oh, yeah, it's fine. I haven't had a chance to grade it yet. I see that she turned it in yesterday, but I'm a little bit behind. So I am going to work on doing that today. But I'll give you feedback on Google Classroom on how your paper turned out, okay? I will do that today.
My mom has the
Like-
Oh,
Google
and
Classroom instead me, so I'll just have to ask her.
Okay, I see it there. I just haven't graded it yet, but I'll make sure to tell her. And this
fun
will tell you.
fact, King Midas never had a daughter.
I saw that you put that on the classroom. So that's true. And by the way, King Midas is a made-up character. So there's different versions of the story, but that was an interesting fact. Thank you for that. Some versions say that he had a daughter, and some versions say that he didn't.
I did what you told me because at first I wasn't going to do it, but then I was still like, no, I'm going to listen to the teacher and do it.
Good. Thank you, Declan. That was the right decision. All right, you guys, we're going to put away King Midas unless you're still working on it. If you still have some things to do on it, keep it in your front pocket. Okay, don't put it away yet. And then I want you to get out the next lesson, which is it's week 7, and it's called Why Opossum Has a Bare Tail, another fun story. So open up behind the source text tab in your binders, and it's week 7. Okay, so when you open up that first tab, open your rings and take out week 7, Why Opossum Has a Bare Tail. And there's 4 pages to get out. Page 53, 55, 57, and 59. There's 4 pages. There's a blue page. You need that. And don't forget to close your rings after you get out those 4 pages, okay? This is going to be a fun story about an opossum. And you need 1 piece of lined paper. So get out 1 piece of lined paper too. Thumbs up when you got 4 pages for week 7 out and a piece of lined paper. And you're ready to go. This part you can use pen or pencil, whichever one you prefer. When you write your paragraphs, though, it does need to be pen. So give me a thumbs up when you're ready. And Trevor, just a little side note, it's okay if you make mistakes on your paragraphs. Try not to scribble it out, okay? I know it's hard, but try to just do 1 line through the mistake and then fix it on top, okay? Try your best not to, like, I know it's tempting. It's like, why did I do that? I struggle with that too, but try to just do 1 line through it. Okay. Looks like everybody's pretty ready. The first page I want to show you is the blue page. Okay, I see that thumbs up. So go to the blue page. This is new to you.
Not ready.
This is called banned words list. And then it says verbs here. So banned words means you're not allowed to use these words anymore. And by the way, they're not bad words. They're just boring words that we overuse sometimes. So it's a challenge for you not to use these words anymore to make your paper sound better. So at the top, you see how there's these boxes that have a diagonal line through it right there. Turn off my light here. There we go. That's where we're going to put the word that you're not allowed to use anymore in that box. And the first one is going to be say and then said. Say, said. Now, say is the present tense version of that word. And said is past tense. See that? Say, said. And I put it up there where that line is. These are now banned, meaning you cannot use say or said anymore in your paper. Not because they're bad words, but because we want to challenge you to think of a better word than said. And we're going to make a list of past tense verbs for that because that's normally when we write in past tense. So can anybody think of a different way to say said? If a character's talking, what's another way to say said? Allison, what do you think? Allison? I didn't hear you.
Oh, I said explained.
Explained. That's a good one. How about Sydney? And then I see Declan too. Explained is what
Yelled.
else? Oh, say it again.
Yelled.
Good. Yes, yelled. Declan, what was yours?
Sydney took mine, so I'm trying to think of another one.
Think of another one. Okay, keep thinking. Allison, did you think of another one?
Replied.
Good. Yeah, good job. Replied. I like how these are all ED, past tense. What about like mumbled? Remember the bald man in The Fly? He mumbled, right? Sydney?
Thought.
Not thought, because when you think, it happens inside your head. So you're gonna think of a word of how they say it out loud. But that's that's a good idea, but that's not gonna work on this list.
Mm.
What about whispered?
Well, that's just another thing as mumbled.
Little different than mumbled, but yeah.
Yeah. Basically, it still has like it has a little bit of a difference, but mostly it's just the same.
True, it's close. And I'm going to add asked on there. So if your character in your story, oops, is asking a question, you could say, King Midas asked the strange visitor, blah, 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 something like that. Okay, that's a pretty good list to start. So notice that these words here, these are good to use. So these are what I want you to use, not say said. So we're going to make a list so that when you're writing your story, you can come back to this and then go, okay, I need to pick one of these. And the other one is going to be see and saw.
Seesaw.
Seesaw. But we're going to focus on the past tense. So these are now banned. So you cannot use say, said, or see, saw anymore. So what's another way to say saw? What do you think, Sydney?
Glimpsed.
Glimpsed. Good. I like it. And Declan, did you have one?
We could do like examine.
Ooh, yeah, examined. How about spied? It's a S, by the way.
I know it's hard. Mr. Snares, I actually went to stay on after class and tell you one of my stories that I actually wrote.
Yes.
Just myself.
Okay, remind me at the end of class, okay? How
Okay.
about watched? That's another good one. Watched something or looked at. All right, that's a pretty good list. Now, there's more than this. This is not all of them, but this is a pretty good start. When you're writing, don't use say, said, or seesaw anymore. And I'm going to show you the checklist next so you can see where it's at on the checklist because you need to use that when you're writing. Okay. Make sure everybody got that down. Next, I want you to get out your checklist. That's the one on page 59, okay? 59.
Wait, what about the other ones? Like,
Yeah,
the
we're gonna add to those later. We're gonna add more,
okay.
but we're just starting with these two. So that's all we have so far on here. Good question. All right. Hopefully you guys had a chance to write it down. We're gonna move on to the checklist now. And notice there's a new spot on here. Do you see there's a new dress up word? It says strong verb. You guys see that on the dress up list? So now you're going to start looking for strong verbs. Now, a strong verb is an action word. So instead of saying, I went to the store, went is kind of a weak action verb. It's not really an action verb, really. But what's another way? It said, I went to the store. What's another way to say that, Declan?
Dashed.
Dashed. There we go. I went fast, right? I dashed to the store, or I drove to the store, or I ran to the store. Okay, those are better strong verbs. So strong verbs, you use them a lot. You probably don't even realize it. But you're going to add this now to your list. So you're going to underline 3 different words in each paragraph. You're going to underline an ly adverb, a who or which, and a strong verb. And then notice under that it says check for banned words. Say, said, see, saw. We just made a list of other words you can use. So use this. This is how I grade your homework. If you're missing any of these things on your homework, I'm going to take off points. Okay. So you got to make sure to have this with you when you sit down to write your paragraph. Make sure you have this checklist with you to help you. All right, any questions about banned words or the checklist or anything like that?
I actually couldn't like see the rest of them. Could I like see it again and like write them down?
Yeah, where are you on this list? I might have to send you a picture of it because we have to move on to the next thing. Do you have a lot left to write?
I'm I actually know something because I'm on my computer, so I can actually snap the picture of it and then like
Oh,
get it
do that.
so it can be on like my computer.
Do that real quick. Tell me when you're done, okay? That'll probably be faster. The next thing we're going to do is get out your lined paper. So the rest of you can get out. Did you get it, Declan? Okay. Get out your lined paper next. And we're going to set up your story sequence chart again for this story. Put your name here. And today is 11/6/25. And this is a long title. It's kind of a weird title, but it's why. So I'm going to start it way over here. So skip a line and I'm going to start it way over here. Why opossum has a bare tail. Now I want you to notice something as you're writing that title. Almost all of the words are capitalized except for A. So basically, all the keywords and even the verbs are capitalized, the first and last and everything in between, except for the little words like A. Okay. So Declan, are you typing this or are you writing it? Okay, that's fine. I don't mind if you type it. This is going to be your SSC. Who remembers what SSC stands for? I see that hand. Who remembers SSC?
Story sequence chart.
Wait, I didn't call on you. I was letting people think. I know, Declan, you gotta try not to interrupt, okay? They were thinking. Is that what you were gonna say, Allison? Yeah, okay. They were getting it. Story sequence chart. You're right. Good job. So skip a line, and now we're going to draw a line down about that far, but leave it a little closer to the red line. Leave more space on the right side. Just draw a line down like that. We did this for King Midas, and we're going to do it again for this story, okay? So we're going to get this set up here. Now, on the right side of this line, I want you to put a Roman numeral 1. It looks like a capital I, and then move over a little bit and do 1, 2, 3. Try to keep it lined up as best you can, okay? After 3, skip a line, Roman numeral 2, 1, 2, 3. Skip a line. I'm going to slow down in a second, so don't worry. You can catch up. 1, 2, 3. So we want to make sure we have 3 Roman numerals. Roman numeral 1, and then 1, 2, 3. Roman numeral 2, 1, 2, 3, Roman numeral 3, 1, 2, 3. These are your paragraphs. You're going to end up writing 3 paragraphs, but I am going to tell you that this week I'm slowing this down a little bit because it's so much to cover. You're going to focus on just the first paragraph. Okay. So draw a line across on the blue line all the way across here, right on top of the Roman numerals. Remember how we did that last time? And then draw a line at the very bottom of that line. So you have 6 boxes. It should look like that. So right on top of the Roman numeral, you're going to trace that blue line. All right, so who remembers what goes, and if you raise your hand, Declan, I know you know, but don't give it away. Let's let people think about this, okay? Who knows what we put in the first box here? When we tell a story, what's the first thing that we need to talk about in the story? Okay, Sydney.
Who, what?
Who and what? So this is going to be characters. Go ahead and write this word in. Slash, and if you don't have room like me, I don't have room for settings. I'm going to use the line under it here so I can squeeze it in. Setting. Characters slash setting. And you're right, Sydney. It's who, question mark. And instead of what, it's going to be where. Who and where, because that's what we're talking about. The setting is where they are in the story. So we're focusing just on the first paragraph. We're going to leave the rest blank here and do that next week because we're running out of time. We want to make sure to read the story next. So after you get characters and setting and who and where, let's look at the actual story, which is on page 55. Okay, so why opossum has a bare tail. Do you guys know what an opossum is, by the way? If you turn this over to the back, here's a cartoon version of it. It's like an oversized rat. They're kind of cute. They have a really long naked tail, though. That's how they look, kind of. This is a cartoon version of that. Sydney?
One time my dad caught a baby opossum.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, in his office. And like, if you guys live in Bakersfield, down like I don't know where my dad's office is, but the big glass triangle building. Oh
Oh,
my God.
yeah.
That's where he
Downtown.
caught it.
Oh, my gosh. So some people say possum. Some people say opossum. Both are correct. It's like tomato, tomato. So opossum is how I'm going to pronounce it in this story.
Awesome.
But same thing as a possum. Okay. And yes, they are in Bakersfield. Why opossum has a bare tail. I'm going to read it and I want you guys to think about what lesson you can learn from this guy. Long ago, when the first animals roamed the land and all of them could talk, opossum had a long, white, furry tail. By the way, I forgot to tell you, this is fantasy. It's made up. It's a fiction story. You probably already figured that out because animals don't talk. Okay. He was proud of his tail. But one afternoon he spied Raccoon preening himself on a tree of a branch, or branch of a tree. Sorry. Preening means cleaning himself. That's what he was doing. Raccoon's tail, with its lustrous rings, looked so elegant in the setting sun that Opossum became jealous and wished for such a tail. So he waddled over to Raccoon's tree, looked up, and asked politely, "How did you get those pretty rings on your tail?" Now, Raccoon was a haughty and mischievous character who looked down upon Opossum. That just means like Raccoon was like all that. Like he was like, I'm the best. Okay. So he looked down on Opossum. Raccoon determined to play a cruel trick on him. Well, I wrapped cedar bark around my tail here and here and here and here, he demonstrated. And then I placed my tail in the coals of a fire, and the fur between the bark turned black, but the rest remained white, as you can see. Thanking Raccoon, Opossum rushed away to gather some cedar bark. He wrapped strips around his tail just as Raccoon had instructed. Then he went to the clearing in the forest where many of the animals were enjoying a big bonfire. When the fire died down, he turned and placed his tail in the red hot coals. However, the coals were still so hot that Opossum's fur and the bark caught fire. His tail was burning like a torch. He panicked and jumped into the pond to put out the flames. When Opossum saw his poor naked tail, he wailed and moaned. Although he waited years for his lovely white tail fur, to grow back, it never did because the tail was too badly burnt. It remained bare for the rest of his life, and all his children, and all his children's children, and all his children's children's children have had bare tails ever since. There you go. That's what they say.
Why
Made up story. Just pretend.
didn't they just have tails like it, like a possum did at the beginning?
This is just a pretend story. It's just a made up story. It's somebody that says this is why opossums have a bare tail. So, okay, what lesson can we learn from this story? What lesson? Go ahead and raise your hand. Is there something
Never
to
being
learn?
jealous.
Hold on, Declan. You have to give people thinking time. Okay, stay muted. Stay muted. What lesson can we learn? Okay, I see. Is that you, Weston? Raise your hand. Go ahead, Weston.
Don't trust strangers at all.
Don't trust strangers. There you go. That's a really good one because they might trick you. What else, Sydney?
Don't trust raccoons.
Don't trust raccoons. Allison, you have a different one?
Don't lie like raccoons.
Oh, yeah, don't lie. Like raccoon. That's another good one. Yes. And it's hard to, you can trust your parents. Your parents are going to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
But other people, like strangers or people that you run into at Walmart, they might tell you something that sounds funny and you're not sure it's real. You need to always check with your parents on that. Okay? Because sometimes people try to trick people. So don't always believe everything you hear unless it's from your parents. Then you can. Okay? You can trust them. Um, and be thankful for what you got. That's another lesson, right? He had a beautiful tail. He should have been thankful for his tail and just been okay that somebody else had a different tail than his and it should have been fine. But okay, Declan.
Um, he could also he could never. They could also be like conning you.
That's true.
Conning.
Okay. Joanna, I'm going to have you start us off here. We're talking about characters and settings. So, what character do we learn about first in this story?
The raccoon.
Before the raccoon, there's one other character here.
The opossum.
The opossum. That's right. So that's the first one that comes in. But where are they, Joanna, in the story? Where is the setting, would you say?
Um, around land. Like,
Yeah, later in the story, I heard the word forest because remember, raccoon is in a tree. So I think they're
yeah.
going to be in the forest.
So they're in a
Yeah,
forest.
they're in a forest. So what if we start by drawing some trees here? Do this next to Roman numeral 1, okay, you guys? We're going to draw some. I like to kind of draw Christmas trees. And do a couple of them so it's like a forest like this. That's going to represent forest. And then we have opossum. So we'll put his name down. And then Joanna, what in the beginning of the story, how would you describe opossum? Not physically, but like his personality. What was something about what he thought?
Jealous.
Jealous, but that was after he saw raccoon, he was jealous, but what did he think about himself? He,
Um,
how did he feel about his tail?
He liked the way it looked.
Yeah, and it says he was proud. This is a good word to describe him.
He was proud of his tail.
He was proud of his tail. Yes. So I'm going to put proud and tail. All right. So you can say something to start off your story like one day in the forest, there was an opossum who was very proud of his tail.
Um, couldn't we just do the O with a circle?
You can if you want
Awesome.
to, but we can use three words. So I went ahead and just spelled it out, but you can. We might need that later. That's a good idea. We actually might need that. How about let's see, Allison, what about his tail in the beginning? How did it describe his tail? Because we're going to tell a little bit more about opossum here for the character. In the
Um,
beginning.
a long white furry tail.
Yes. So we could put long, white, furry, and we know we're talking about the tail because we just said it here. So I don't think we need tail, but you could draw a tail if that helps you. But I like that long, white, furry tail. This is his tail. So we described opossum. We're talking about characters and setting only here. We got opossum, a little bit about him, and the forest. What was the other character, Sydney, in this story other than the opossum?
The raccoon.
Good. Let's talk about the raccoon next. Put his name there, the raccoon. And what was it, Sydney, about raccoon's tail? What does his tail look like?
It has black rings.
It has black rings. I like it.
What if we put the word black and then put a little circle for rings?
We could. A little circle for rings. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea because there was another word that described what it like. There's two words that describes what it looks like. I know it's black and rings, but what are some other words to describe the tail? I'm looking at the
Um,
first paragraph. There's a couple good adjectives in there that tell about the tail.
um, Strius.
Lustrous, yeah, lustrous. That just means like fancy. Same as elegant. There's another word, elegant, here. So you could pick, we could draw a ring, maybe put a little diamond on it so you know it's a ring. Black rings, and maybe pick one of those words. If you like elegant, I think I'm going to put elegant to describe that tail because wow, it was like fancy schmancy. And then Trevor, what so Opossum looked up into the tree, right? And what did he ask Raccoon? Remember,
How
Trevor?
did he get the rings on his tail?
Yes. How did you get those pretty rings on your tail? So let's do, I like Declan's idea of doing an O with a circle for opossum.
Pretty?
Go ahead.
No, for the
No?
words. Pretty?
Yeah.
No, wait.
I like
How
it.
pretty rings.
I like that. Okay, so we've got opossum is looking up, and let's do another tree right here because we want to tell that part. We're going to draw a couple things. So opossum looked up into the tree, and then how pretty rings, question mark. And I'm using quotation marks. Okay. This is a pretty, hold on, Declan. Okay, hang on a second. This is all you're going to work on this week because we're out of time, but I want to go through a couple things with you, okay? You're going to use just number one, Roman numeral one. You're going to write one paragraph. We're going to save this for next week, okay? So don't go ahead of me. Just write one paragraph, but check it out. You're going to have a speaking part with quotes. And one of your banned words now is said. So don't say that opossum said to raccoon. What's another word you could put right here when you come to that sentence? Opossum, what? Don't say said. What's another word you could use there? Allison, what do you think?
Exclaimed.
Yeah, exclaimed. Or you know what? It's a question. What word could we use to explain that, Sydney?
Asked.
Yeah, that's even better. Because exclaimed is more like a statement, but he's going to ask a question. So, yeah, that's a good one. So, opossum looked up into the tree and asked raccoon, "How did you get those pretty rings?" So, there you go. Use asked or maybe questioned, something like that. Or maybe he yelled it because he was at the bottom of the tree and maybe raccoon was way up high. Maybe he had to yell it, right? So use something other than said. And as Declan, is your hand up from earlier, or do you have something new to say?
Um, what if we for our KWOs, could we do with a R at the end, how pretty rings are for a raccoon?
Oh, you can. Yeah, I'm okay with that if you need to. Weston, did you have a question too?
Can we show you something when this is done?
Yes, yes, I'm almost done. Look at the dress up again. I mean, the checklist again, because you guys have a lot to do, even though you're only writing the first paragraph, okay? Don't forget you got to include each of these, ly, and then a who, which, like something about, by the way, raccoon and opossum are kind of acting like humans. So you can use the word who when you're talking about them. Okay. Raccoon who had a beautiful striped tail, something like that. So you can use who if you're talking about, if you want to use which, you would use that to describe maybe the forest, which had many trees or something like that. You can add a couple details if you want. And then strong verb would be like asked. That's a strong verb. It has an ed ending on it. That's a good one for that. And then don't forget about those banned words. All right, you guys. So that's what your homework is this week. Use this, write one paragraph, and then you got your grammar to do. But don't forget your checklist. That's super important because this is how I grade your stuff. Any last minute questions about the homework?
Um,
No, hold on. Is it a question about the homework? Okay. Any homework questions? Okay. It looks like you guys are done. So I know Declan wants to share something and Weston, let me turn off the recording.